So you want to write film reviews, huh?
Sounds ambitious.
Well, you sent over this guide from Duke University's writing studio, and
Yeah.
it's really interesting. They have all these tips and tricks. So we're going to take a deep dive into it today.
Awesome.
The first thing that really stood out to me was that they recommend watching a film multiple times before you even start writing.
Multiple viewings
Yeah.
for a review.
I mean, it makes sense though, right?
Yeah.
Like you really get a feel for it and not just like your gut reaction.
It's like the difference between just enjoying a good meal and like knowing how to break down the recipe.
Yeah, exactly.
You need that deeper knowledge.
And they really highlight this in the guide, the distinction between a casual review and a scholarly film article.
Okay.
A review is much more personal, you know, blending your subjective feelings with a more objective analysis of the film's techniques and themes.
Right. So you want to connect with the audience, share your own perspective, not just write like a dry academic analysis.
Right. So, okay, multiple viewings, deeper analysis. Where do we even begin?
Well, the guide suggests doing some pregame research, you know, like checking out the director, the writer, actors, their past work.
See what they've done?
Yeah. It helps you put the film into context. Like, is this director known for sci-fi epics? Is this a departure for them?
Interesting. So we're setting the stage, getting the background before we even hit play.
Right.
Then comes the actual viewing.
The fun part.
And this is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
First viewing, pure enjoyment.
Absolutely.
Popcorn, comfy chair, the whole bit.
Yeah, the snacks.
But then comes the second viewing.
Okay.
This time you're watching with your analytical brain engaged.
Oh, so like taking notes and stuff?
Yeah, think of it like a detective looking for clues. You're paying attention to the formal techniques.
Okay.
Like the cinematography, the editing, the sound design, and how they all work together.
So there are specific things that we should be looking for?
Yes.
Like besides just whether the story is good or not?
Exactly.
Okay.
Think about the camera angles. Are they close-ups creating that sense of intimacy?
Right.
Or are they wide shots emphasizing the setting?
Oh, okay.
Pay attention to how the scenes are cut together. Do they flow smoothly or are there jump cuts to create that sense of urgency?
Interesting.
Even the music plays a huge role.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Does it heighten the suspense, underscore the emotions?
Oh, yeah.
Like all of that comes into play.
This is blowing my mind.
I know, right?
I usually just let the movie wash over me.
I know, me too.
But there's a whole other level to it.
And don't forget about the thematic content.
Oh, right.
What is the film saying about history, society, identity?
Yeah.
Those deeper layers can really enrich your understanding of it.
Okay, so first viewing is fun. Second viewing, we're like taking notes like crazy.
Yeah.
What about this third viewing?
Oh, yeah, the guide mentions it.
What is that all about?
So that's where you solidify your argument.
Okay.
By that third viewing, you've probably noticed some recurring patterns.
Right.
Some dominant themes, and maybe even some contradictions within the film.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This viewing helps you to crystallize those observations into a central argument for your review.
So the third viewing is all about finding the through line.
Yeah, connecting all the dots.
Okay.
But once we've got all of these notes and these insights, how do we actually structure the review?
Well, the Duke Guide offers a pretty classic structure.
Okay.
Introduction, plot summary, description analysis, and then your conclusion with an evaluation.
Classic structure, but I bet there are nuances within each section.
Oh, for sure.
So let's break it down.
Okay.
Starting with the introduction.
Think of the introduction like a movie trailer.
Oh, okay.
You want to hook the reader, set the stage.
Right.
Give some context without giving too much away.
Okay.
Maybe hint at the main theme of your review.
Okay, so a teaser, not a spoiler. What about the plot summary?
Yeah.
How much is too much?
It's a tightrope walk.
Okay.
You need to give the reader enough to understand what the film's about without ruining any surprises.
Right.
Focus on the central conflict.
Okay.
The main characters, the basic premise.
Got it.
Think broad strokes.
So no major plot twists revealed.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay.
Then we move on to the description.
All right.
This is where we get to share our personal experience, right?
Yeah.
Like what we felt, what stood out visually, the overall mood.
Exactly. This is where your voice really comes through.
Yeah.
Were you captivated by the cinematography?
Right.
Did the soundtrack give you chills?
Okay.
This is where you paint a picture for the reader, using vivid language to capture the film's essence.
Okay. Paint a picture. Get those senses involved.
Yeah.
And then we arrive at the analysis, the heart of the review.
Right.
This is where we connect the dots between those formal techniques.
Right.
We noted the thematic content and the impact it all had on us.
And this is where those multiple viewings really pay off.
Right.
You can start talking about how specific camera angles created a sense of claustrophobia.
Okay.
Or how a recurring musical motif underscored the theme of loss. You're showing that you understand how the film's craft contributes to its meaning.
Starting to feel like a film detective.
It's exciting, isn't it? Yeah, I know.
But hold on, we've covered a lot of ground already. I think we need to take a little break and let all this sink in before we move on to the conclusion and evaluation. What do you say?
Sounds good to me. Okay, so we've talked about the structure of a film review and like how to approach each section.
Yeah, we've broken it down.
But even with all that knowledge, like sometimes you just need a little inspiration, right?
Well, for sure. I'm always curious to see how other reviewers tackle a film.
Yeah.
It's like a sneak peek into their thought process.
Totally.
And that's something the Duke Guide actually recommends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they say check out reviews from major publications.
Like what kind?
Like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Guardian.
Oh, wow. The heavy hitters.
Yeah.
So what should we be looking for when we read those?
Well, pay attention to how they structure their arguments. Do they focus on a single theme?
Okay.
Do they, weave together multiple interpretations?
Got it.
See how they balance their personal opinions with concrete evidence from the film.
It's like a masterclass in film criticism.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I struggle with a lot.
What's that?
I often feel like I'm just stating the obvious. But reading how professional critics approach it can really help elevate my own writing.
The guide also mentions this other resource that's surprisingly helpful.
Oh, really? What's that?
IMDb.
Wait, IMDb?
Yeah.
Like the website? Where I go to settle movie trivia arguments with my friends?
That's the one.
Okay.
But beyond just trivia, IMDb can be a goldmine for research.
Oh, okay.
You can quickly find info on the director, the cast, the production company. It's a great starting point.
I never even thought to use it for that.
Yeah. And, if you're looking to really dive deep into film analysis, there are a couple of books the Duke Guide recommends.
Oh, cool. Yeah, what are those?
One is A Short Guide to Writing About Film by Timothy Corrigan.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, and as the title suggests, it's a pretty concise guide to approaching film analysis.
Okay.
Covering different critical lenses, offering practical writing tips.
Right.
And it even has a glossary of film terms.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Because some of those can be pretty tricky.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so that's like a film analysis 101.
Yeah, exactly.
What about something a little more in-depth?
Well, for that, they suggest Film Art, An Introduction.
Okay.
By David Bordwell and Kristen Thompson. This one's a classic. It's been used in film studies courses for years.
Wow. So it must be pretty comprehensive.
It covers everything from genre and history to production and distribution.
That sounds intense.
But what makes it particularly valuable for reviewers is its focus on film style.
Okay. It helps you understand how those formal elements we've been talking about, the camera work, the editing, the sound design, how they all create meaning.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like a master class in the language of film.
I mean, I get intimidated by all the technical terms sometimes.
I know what you mean.
I know it's cinematography, IS, but actually analyzing it feels overwhelming.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Where do I even begin?
Well, the Duke Guide actually does a really good job of breaking down those key film terms.
Oh, that's good.
In a way that's easy to understand.
Okay, so they're not just throwing jargon at us.
No.
They actually help you grasp the concepts.
Exactly.
That makes me feel a lot better.
They encourage active viewing. Urging you to pay attention to things like camera angles, shot composition, editing techniques.
Right.
All those elements that contribute to the film's overall impact.
This is making me think about how I typically watch movies. I usually just get absorbed in the story.
I know, me too.
But now I'm realizing there's so much more going on. There's a whole other layer to it.
It's like there's a secret language.
That's the beauty of film analysis.
Right.
Yeah, it opens up this whole new layer of appreciation.
And once you start noticing those details, you can't unsee them.
It enriches the whole viewing experience.
Totally.
Okay, so we've talked about resources, getting inspiration from professional critics, learning those key film terms. Now let's talk about putting pen to paper.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so we've analyzed the film, we've dug deep, and now now it's time to wrap it all up.
The grand finale.
Yeah, how do we write a strong conclusion?
Well, think of it as bringing your argument home.
Okay.
You've laid out all this evidence, you've explored all these nuances.
Right.
Now it's time to tie it all together
Yeah.
and give the reader a clear takeaway.
So it's not just about summarizing what we've already said.
No, it's more about synthesis.
Okay.
What's the main point you want to leave the reader with? Do you ultimately recommend this film?
Okay.
Why or why not?
So it's about justifying our opinion.
Exactly.
Connecting it back to all the points we made in the review.
And remember, it's okay to have mixed feelings about a film.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Not every film is a masterpiece.
Right.
And acknowledging the flaws can actually make your review more insightful.
That's a good point.
Like a balanced perspective can be really refreshing.
Especially when it's backed up by all that analysis.
Right.
You know, the Duke Guide emphasizes one more thing that's super important for a good review.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Finding your own voice.
Oh, yeah.
Like they say this unique blend of objective analysis and subjective experience that makes a review really stand out.
So it's not just about, like, summarizing the plot.
Right. Anyone can do that.
Yeah.
What makes it memorable is that personal touch, that unique perspective.
Think about what you love about movies.
Okay.
Like, what draws you in?
Yeah.
Are you a sucker for stunning visuals?
Uh-huh.
Do you love thought-provoking narratives? Oh, yeah.
Let those preferences guide your writing.
So it's about being authentically me.
Exactly.
Not trying to sound like some film critic from a textbook.
Right. And, you know, it's okay to disagree with other reviewers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Art is subjective.
There's no right or wrong way to interpret a film.
Exactly.
So it's all about, like, articulating your perspective in a thoughtful way.
Yeah. And if someone disagrees, that just opens the door for more discussion.
It's all about starting a conversation.
Right. Film is meant to be debated, you know, discussed, dissected.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
I know, right?
I feel like we've gone from being totally intimidated by film reviews to actually being excited to write them.
We've learned so much.
We've explored the structure, the research, the analytical tools.
Yeah.
And most importantly,
How's that?
we've learned that film analysis isn't just about all that dry academic jargon.
Oh, yeah.
It's about engaging with art on a deeper level, you know,
Right. Yeah.
connecting with it emotionally, sharing those insights with others. It's about bringing something new to the table.
Right. Our unique perspective.
And contributing to the conversation.
Exactly.
So to our listener out there
Yeah.
who's ready to write their own film review,
Go for it.
embrace your passion, you know,
Yeah.
trust your instincts, and don't be afraid to experiment.
The world needs your unique voice.
Maybe one day we'll be reading your reviews.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Feeling inspired by your fresh perspective.
Until then, keep watching, keep thinking.
And keep writing.
The world of film awaits.